Thank you for that live report. A settlement's been reached in a lawsuit filed after the death of a Vermont mother taken into Springfield police custody back in 2018.
The police department accused of failing to provide her medical treatment in an interaction caught on video. Western Mass News reporter Glenn Kittle joins us live in studio with more details on the settlement. Glenn?
Yeah, Chris, Abby, the city council voted 7-4 in favor of paying $900,000 to the estate of Madeline Linsenmeyer. We spoke with a Springfield City Council member earlier today about this settlement decision.
I really need to get some water before I pass out.
Video obtained by Western Mass News from September 2018 shows the moments Madeline Linsenmeyer was booked by Springfield police a week before she died. The Vermont native, who admitted to the police that she was using drugs, described to officers that she felt like her chest was caving in. Linsenmeyer eventually died on October 7th after being found unresponsive in her cell and sent to the hospital, leaving behind her young daughter. It was later discovered Linsenmeyer died due to an infected heart valve.
I'm very ill right now, but I need to go to the hospital. I have a really bad chest. I don't know what happened to it. It feels like it's caving in.
Now, 6 years later, the Springfield City Council voted 7-4 in favor of paying the Linsenmeyer estate $900,000 to settle a lawsuit claiming police failed to provide medical attention to Linsenmeyer before it was too late. Springfield City Councilor Zeta Govan tells Western Mass News about the conversations between council members that led to their decision.
A lot of the councilors felt sadness for someone losing their life, especially after being in police custody, of course. So it was sad that, someone lost their life and that our police department somehow was involved in it.
The settlement also sparking conversations about having staff on site to provide medical attention. Govan tells Western Mass News it's a lesson learned from this tragic incident that could be a lifesaver in the future.
There's no medical staff there, and I think when people come in and might have some medical issues, it's hard for, I think, a police officer to assess that without a professional being there. So that's something that we're talking about and hopefully that we're going to look at to maybe implement in the future.
The legal battle with the Linsenmeyer estate is not over just yet. We reached out to the American Civil Liberties Union, which is representing the Linsenmeyer estate. They tell Western Mass News they're still awaiting a summary judgment decision from the Hampden County Sheriff's Department and its employees for their involvement in the Madeline Linsenmeyer's death. Reporting live in studio, Glenn Kittle for Western Mass News.